All right, we are live, and today we are talking about downtown Bozeman. Downtown in Bozeman is one of my favorite things about this area. It's just a really active downtown, and we are lucky today. We have Ellie Staley with the Downtown Partnership, and she is here to talk to us about that. So I'm going to bring you in, and thank you for joining us, Ellie.
Hello, Kyler. How we doing?
I am doing well. Just another snowy day in Montana, so
Yes.
yeah, so I'm glad we're getting all the moisture. I am definitely ready for summer though, and
Aren't we all? Yeah, I think we've reached that point. I was a little shocked looking out my window today. Like, is it really almost April? Is it? So
yes,
here we are.
yes, it will warm up eventually. I'm glad we're getting the moisture. So, as we get started here, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your role and how you got started with the Downtown Bozeman Partnership?
Yeah, well, Kyler, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. We have worked together in the past, and it was nice to get your email and get a chance to kind of update everyone on what we're doing and who we are and what we do. And in preparation or when we chatted away, I think we both agreed that what we do and how we do it is both obvious and you can see it, but it's also a little bit of a mystery. And so I'm going to just give you like a quick rundown of the whole organization, and I'll try to
Great.
be somewhat brief, but I assume it'll probably spark maybe a little more confusion. We are death by acronyms here at the
Yes.
Downtown Partnership. We have lots of organizations that we manage. We do it with a pretty small crew. So we really only have 4 full-time employees here in our office. We also have full-time and part-time maintenance staff out on Main Street and beyond. And we do that through our organizations. First, our Downtown Bozeman Partnership, we are all Downtown Bozeman Partnership employees. We're all working for the greater good of Downtown Bozeman, but that's really just our umbrella organization. And we have 3 organizations under the partnership. We have the DBA, the BID, and the URD. So when I say death by acronyms, it's DBP, DBA, BID, and DURD, which is a lot. But
Just create a
they're
whole
all
lot of confusion.
I know it is so. So I oversee the partnership as a whole, but we have the DBA. The DBA is probably the most visible of the 3 organizations. It's the Downtown Bozeman Association. Raise your hand if you've heard of that. Probably most of you. And
Yep.
that is our marketing, events, and membership arm. So we are a private 501c6 organization. We're similar to like a chamber kind of platform or format, and that is who sponsors really our events, our membership, and our marketing. And when I say our marketing, I think I say everything from social media to website to really all of our outreach and branding that is really visible downtown. All of our well-known events, which are Christmas stroll, music on Main. Art walks, car show, and so much beyond that. Restaurant week coming up. And then just to kind of move on from that, we also have our BID. Our BID is our Business Improvement District. This is really similar to a homeowners association. So it basically manages the maintenance in downtown. We call it our Clean and Safe program. It includes everything from flowers to banners to trash removal. And Mike driving around in his little mule all the time. He is out there. He's our downtown steward. We love him. But we do have a few other downtown maintenance employees watering flowers, taking care of the parking garage and beyond. Our downtown URD is probably our most complex part of the organization. That is our downtown urban renewal district. What we do is we essentially spend tax increment finance funds. They come into the city budget, and they're portion of general fund that is allocated based on the tax base increase in our downtown area. These funds essentially go to infrastructure improvements in downtown. So everything from sewer lines to water mains to sidewalk replacement, light poles, light poles, benches. So the physical infrastructure and some of the planning that we do, and that is all managed here in this office, and we think we do a pretty good job.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, we have one of the best, if not the best, downtown in the state, and I think that's a big part of it is just having, all those partnered organizations that complement each other and help keep it vibrant and attractive to people. It's amazing. Yesterday I was driving through downtown and it's cold out, and there's still a swarm of people just walking and going to all the stores and everything down there. So
Yeah.
it definitely a big attraction to Bozeman is that downtown lifestyle here.
It really is. We talk about that a lot. We are in constant conversations with the other Montana communities. And we talk about that a lot, that downtown Bozeman truly has a certain vibrancy about it. There are always people walking and strolling and enjoying Main Street in downtown Bozeman. And that's really not the case everywhere. So we think we have something special. And we need to preserve that as well as really enhance it as well. It takes a lot of maintenance and a lot of foresight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned kind of what the partnership does and what the different organizations within the Bozeman Downtown Bozeman Partnership do. But tell us more about your role and how you got started with that organization and how that's evolved over the years.
Oh, you want to hear about me? Okay. I can't believe it, but I have been here for almost 17 years. So I moved into town in 2000 and just fell in love with Bozeman. And it was really Main Street that I fell in love with. I worked for a few marketing and manufacturing companies around town. I waitressed on the side and always had a somewhat of a hospitality background and passion, really working with people. And somehow I worked my way into this position. It was a little bit different then. We actually ran a visitor center on Main Street. So if you can think of where Mountain Home and is downtown on Main Street there, we used to be in that space, and we managed a visitor center. We had a few events, but we were a much smaller organization at that time. But I do always, when I'm giving updates on who we are and all of our acronyms, I always mention that we really had amazing founders here in Bozeman. I don't really mean like turn of the century founders. I mean like through the 80s and 90s, when there was a time when we started to realize that we needed to keep up downtown. We needed to have organizational representation. So out of that came the DBA, some of our events like Christmas Stroll, and then I really came into the organization when we were kind of ready to take that next leap. So within the first couple of years, we formalized the Downtown Bozeman Partnership. We definitely got a little more active in the way of events and programming and certainly marketing and branding. And that started to be really the big push back then. Now we're in a whole new world. So we oversee so many things within our community. We work so much closer with the city of Bozeman on all of our projects. And as we know, we're a massively growing community. So we are doing some big strategic thinking here. We focus on our plans, we reference our plans, and we think that we have an idea of what we want to be moving into the future. So
Yeah, awesome.
is that about me? I don't know. I moved it
a little bit. You segued a little bit. You got the spotlight off of yourself, and that's one thing that I actually really appreciate you is that you're not trying to get the spotlight and look at everything that I'm doing for Bozeman. It's all a genuine effort to help make Bozeman better and make downtown better. So I definitely appreciate that, and that's one thing I have observed through the years as you in that role. You're definitely a servant leader. So thank you for that.
Well, I hope so. I have found that over 16 years that more and more I realize that the small business people in this community are so the heart of this community.
Absolutely.
And there's a certain entrepreneurial energy and spirit in this community that was here when I arrived, and it is still going strong, if not stronger. And it's really, really evident in our small business community, and especially those who are, trying to make a brick and mortar store work in a historic building. So I do have this certain admiration for these folks, for sure.
That's great. So before we move on, I just want to let everybody know we are live. So if you're watching right now and you have any questions for us about Bozeman or downtown, go ahead and drop those in the chat. We will do our best to answer those as they come in. And I also want to give away $100 in downtown dollars to one of our viewers. So this is basically like cash that you can spend in downtown Bozeman. So to enter for that, just enter a comment and have the put hashtag downtown somewhere in your comment, and you will automatically be entered into that drawing. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in there. But let's move on a little bit. So I want you to talk about, or I have a question is, like why is our downtown different? You go to different areas of Montana, and there's not nearly as many people walking around. It feels like you go in, you go to a store, and you get out of there. Whereas we have that community feeling downtown here. So what separates our downtown from other downtowns that you see around the state?
I'm going to first get a little technical here because I believe to my core that downtown Bozeman and what we've done in downtown was not by mistake. There's a lot of thought. There was a lot of foresight, like I mentioned before, from a lot of people in this community. So, we had a lot of leaders of downtown businesses. I kind of go back to like the old owners of Schnee's and businesses like that, Rocky Mountain Toy Company, and they really came together and they established groups like I mentioned, the TIF, the Tax Increment Finance Group, the Downtown Bozeman Association, which is a formalized 501c3, not 501c6 nonprofit. So these are formalized organizations that took a lot of time to develop, and I really believe that because those were developed and we did those, and I will tell you, in advance of actually many urban areas across the country. Now, that's due to some of our tax restrictions here in the state and even locally. So we were a bit forced into some of those situations to make sure that we could do those things, but we had the foresight to do that. So we were doing things like streetscape improvements, putting up safety, light poles and crosswalks and things like that, well before a lot of our neighboring communities, certainly before a lot of Montana communities. We made walkable communities and trails and access to our downtown core really important value within our community. And we have supported our school districts and infrastructure improvements through levees and mills in this community. So I believe that some of those things are not by mistake. And so the way that you can take a trail all the way from the west side to downtown is not by mistake. But it also takes the people behind it to make sure that we support this and that we keep, these values that this community has truly established moving forward. And I think we've done a good job of that. I think a lot of that is organizations, hopefully us as one of those, but, a lot of organizations like GVLT, like our educational organizations. We have so many nonprofits and people doing amazing things. So that's who I credit. And I think it's going to continue. You can feel
Yeah,
it.
that intentionality really shows, and you notice it when you're downtown here. It's just no matter what's going on, there's always a lot of people down there, outside of the events, but just on a regular Wednesday. So definitely has paid off all those efforts over the years.
We think, it's not all wonderful, right? We've had our ups and downs, and we've seen, I've worked downtown through a recession, through COVID. We
Hmm.
are absolutely still feeling still feeling COVID. We're still trying to get through some of these things. So,
Yeah.
it's not all great, but I think it is really the values and passion that kind of push us through. And I think we're in a pretty good place. So.
Yeah, great. So, a large part of downtown and what you do, especially with the Downtown Bozeman Association, is the events that you mentioned. So, let's talk about a few of those events. Personally, my favorite is the Christmas stroll. That's something that I had been a part of in years past, and it's just a great time. It's probably tied right there, with music on Main. So, I'm curious, what is your favorite downtown event, and tell us a little bit
Ooh.
more what we should expect this summer, as far as events.
Oh, my favorite downtown event. I don't get asked that very much. I've kind of jokingly said for many years that Art Walks is my favorite downtown event. And I think the reason is because I don't have to do much. Our staff doesn't have to do much. We do a lot of that marketing and advertising for that specific event. There's 5 of them. They are on second Fridays throughout the summer and one in December. And we have the luxury of getting to do a lot of the advanced marketing and advertising for that event. And then we pass it on to the businesses, and the businesses do an amazing job of featuring their artists and their artwork and their gallery openings and things like that. And so That event is so fun to just come and walk and see your neighbors. And even as Bozeman grows, I swear you'll see somebody, even if you're new to the community. So art walks are a great kind of event that we've been doing forever. Of course, music on Main, Christmas stroll. I'll tell you, the car show blows my mind every year. And we look at those events, even some of the pep rallies and things we do with MSU, really as special events, right? So the intention of those events aren't really about getting people inside businesses. It's really about just coming downtown, having a good time, and hopefully you come back and go to the businesses and make downtown part of your, everyday, or if not, every week place to go. But some of them, ladies' night, art walks, restaurant week, those really are really intentionally about bringing people down and getting them in businesses. And we think our businesses do an amazing job of helping promote those. So some of those events are really fun to be a part of and to see really the passion and the creativity behind our downtown businesses marketing and branding. They're pretty good at what they do. So
Yeah, they are. It's a well-oiled machine with these events. It seems like every year it just goes off smoothly. I'm sure there's a lot of chaos behind the scenes that we aren't aware of.
yeah,
So we do
glad
have
you
a
know.
couple comments coming in here. We got Danelle also loves all of the parades too, and
Yeah.
that's everybody loves a good parade, especially my kids. They scoop up as much candy as they can anytime there's a parade. So
And
that, that
that's a good comment. I'm actually glad that's brought up because we actually don't do most of the parades in downtown Bozeman. So
okay,
although we are the Downtown Bozeman Association and we oversee almost all of the main events, there are a handful that really aren't our events. We're involved. We send out street closure announcements. We alarm our businesses and make sure that they come out and support parades. But the Memorial Day parade, the Sweet Pea Parade, the high school parade, see the homecoming, MSU homecoming parade. Those are actually separate organizations, and we hope that they help a little bit with trash cleanup and such. But we definitely support their efforts, and they do a great job.
great. We got Renee here saying that music on Main is her favorite. And then we have a question from Juno. Are there any exciting new events coming to downtown Bozeman? Anything new
Yeah,
happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. Restaurant Week is coming up, and this will be actually our third year, but we're still kind of getting it off the ground because this was really a post-COVID event. So
Okay.
yeah, this will be our third year for Restaurant Week. We have lots of businesses participating, and again, we do put that kind of pressure on our businesses to really come to the plate on this, and they're really excited. So we're seeing some cool menu items, specials. We have like amazing prizes. So our staff has been working hard to put together a bunch of raffles to get involvement with Restaurant Week. It will be very much a digital, promotional type thing from our end. So there'll be punch cards and things that we do through social media platforms, and lots of prizes. I would venture to say thousands of dollars in prizes, from hotel rooms to nights out, wine, gift certificates, the whole bit. So we're excited about that one.
That sounds awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the logistics of Restaurant Week. What does that look like for somebody that's a member of our community or maybe visiting? How do they participate in Restaurant Week? What do they do?
Yeah. Downtownbozeman.org/restaurant week. And
Great.
that it's really as simple as that. You'll see a lot of QR codes around town. We will work hard to make sure that those aren't tables and windows on our social media accounts, on our website, specifically so that we can be very, very transparent about how this works. Each restaurant that signs up will essentially have their own landing page. So they'll sign up through us. They go through a series of sign-ups. They get us specials and all kinds of stuff. And then what we do is we get that all on our website. Each restaurant will have its own landing page with their special, their details, their location, all that stuff. And then there'll be separate information about how to participate holistically. So you can do something as simple as go to a restaurant, have a special, engage very, passively and enjoy your time. Or you can get in there because we've got some good prizes, and that really is about getting more and more involved. So maybe going up to 5 businesses and restaurants, coffee shops, maybe a dessert, maybe a craft brew, that sort of thing. So we have an opportunity to kind of really loosely participate and then really get engaged. And man, I think we had almost 200 completed cards last year, maybe over that amount, which means all of those people went to over 5 restaurants downtown. So we know people out there doing it, and so you can get in as involved as you want to. I guess is the thought.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time. And there's some awesome restaurants downtown. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
one of my favorites is Copper. There's the new one that I'm excited to try. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but the high end stakeout, is it what, JD Heist?
Oh, JW
Um,
Heist. Oh, yeah.
JW Heist, yes. Excited to try that one. I'm definitely a big fan of steaks, so a little bit on the pricier side, high end steakhouse. So excited for that. There's a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
that's the cool thing about Restaurant Week is everybody can participate at different levels. So for instance, if you're really looking for that, fine dining experience during Restaurant Week, a JW Heist, a Planck, a Urban Kitchen, they'll all be offering like multi-course different dinners and things like that. But
well, that's
then on
awesome.
the other side of it, there'll be, like I said, craft brew specials and coffee specials and dessert specials, or a lot of places we have so many casual dining businesses downtown, lots of lunch specials. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm definitely going to have to participate in Restaurant Week. So I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah.
Shifting a little bit, so I saw an initiative recently called "Be Good to Bozeman." Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that is?
Yes. I cannot claim ownership of Be Good to Bozeman, although we
Okay.
have been as involved as possible. And I think, I hope that the reason we are partners or a part of this is because of our advertising platform and because people notice the things that we get out there. But we have a thing in Bozeman, another acronym, CVB, which is Conventions Visitors Bureau, and TBID, our tourism business improvement district. These are overseen by the chamber, but this is essentially our local marketing budget. This is the way that we advertise to our tourists. Our tourism dollars come back from the state. So we take a bed tax in based on these kind of platforms. We send it off to the state, and then the state sends some money back. We try to spend that money with really great intention. There's several groups that decide how to kind of like spend that money. And the new trend these days is we've seen some of our areas grow and to be completely honest with you, get overpopulated, like trailheads and maybe lack of knowledge on how to maybe treat the outdoors. We have seen a trend towards tourism management. So a little less tourism advertising and getting people here, but a little more focus on management and making sure that once people get here, that we educate them and that we welcome them, but that we also use that opportunity to make sure that they know how we treat our lands, how we feel about our lands, what are our values here in our community. And so I think this Be Good to Bozeman is really a result of that focus on that tourism management, the education and outreach portion, and it's been really awesome. So we have lots of partners. That group CVB and TBID are kind of our marketing partners here, and then we've come full circle with GVLT, ourselves. I think Bozeman Health is involved, and we've really tried to support this campaign. And I think we'll continue seeing it through every season. And we'll kind of enhance the messaging so that the messaging is really towards the individuals who may be kind of visiting at the time.
Yeah, it sounds like a really great initiative with a lot of participation and really just focused around keeping Bozeman picked up and clean and taken care of. So
Yeah.
a good reminder and a good campaign to be a part of. Thank you for sharing about that. Um, so we talked a little bit about some of the new restaurants that have gone in, but downtown Bozeman's always changing, and sometimes for the better, sometimes it's a bummer. I saw in the news that unfortunately the antique store is going away.
Hmm.
Really awesome store down there, but it's always an evolving thing. The downtown district. So Can you talk a little bit about some of the changes that have happened recently, and maybe some changes that are to come?
Yeah. I guess I do have the luxury of being involved in downtown Bozeman for a number of years. And so I have seen the ups and downs. And so I think we can sometimes see some of these ups and downs as, oh gosh, what's going on?
Yeah,
But
it's
we
easy
do
to
have
panic.
this way of really kind of coming back and being really resilient here in our community. So I guess I know that when we do see some things that make us go, oh gosh, that we're going to be okay. But with that said, yeah, we've seen some businesses either leave downtown or close in the past few years, or really in the past year. We are bummed to see them go. And specifically because they've been long-standing businesses in downtown. But the interesting thing that we talk about a lot here in our office is every situation is very different. I'd say that what we're seeing right now is a post-COVID situation. I
Mhm.
think there's been some burnout. But I also believe that some of the examples that we're seeing is also post-COVID situation where they are advancing their business or growing their business kind of beyond what maybe their small downtown storefront could be. So when I say that, Carter's is a perfect example. My heart broke a little bit the day that Carter's left downtown. I've been a great customer; they're friends of mine, but I know this is a good move for them because they are advancing their manufacturing side of things, and they needed to do that during COVID. The storefront concept was a harder situation, and so everyone had to, I guess, come up with new ideas and diversify what they're doing. Their diversification was really their manufacturing side. Downtown businesses, or downtown storefronts, have limits on the size. They also have limits on the size of manufacturing versus the storefront. And so they're going to be able to really grow their business. So that's one example of maybe just a maybe not quite as sad of a story, but maybe hard for some of us. I don't want to say old timers. I'm not there quite yet, but I've been downtown for a while. So, Silver Annie's, we were sad to see her go, but she was ready for retirement.
Yeah,
And she's going to be continuing to sell her goods and jewelry online. And she now has an e-commerce site. So another example of kind of making some of those advances and not necessarily tied to the store. But then on the flip end, we're seeing a lot of businesses open. So I'm not sure if you've heard about Meridian Men's. So Haley is the owner of Meridian, and she does an outstanding job. And she's going to be moving into the Silver Annie space.
okay.
We also recently saw that Stio, which is a Jackson Hole clothing outfitter, is going to be moving into the Main Street Market space. So that's maybe both a little scary and exciting. And so, I think for every moment, I think we also see some excitement and some new businesses to look forward to. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's the one thing that's definitely, the only certain is that it's going to be changing. So, as something comes, something goes, and it's just kind of not a revolving door, but a evolving situation downtown. So, and
mhm.
improvements too. I saw recently that the Ellen Theater was looking to do some more improvements, and that's just having those two theaters across the street from each other is pretty cool. Just with how they keep that kind of retro vibe, that historic nature, and provide great entertainment right downtown.
Yeah, that's a great note. We've been really excited to see some of the historic building redevelopments just in the last couple of years because we're almost at a spot where a lot of our redevelopment had happened right in downtown, and most of our buildings were kind of getting to that point. But just in the past couple of years, we've seen the Gallatin Laundry building be fully redeveloped and just absolutely gorgeous. And if you haven't seen those historic windows that they custom recreated, they're just breathtaking. And I think that does show that passion for keeping that historic nature downtown when these renovations are being done. US Bank building, I don't know if you've driven Main Street recently, but the entire terrible 60s facade is gone. So you can
Oh,
see the
wow.
entire brick building. They have the scaffolding down, and it is really amazing. I'm actually getting a tour of the National, which is the new name of the US Bank building. So that is another building. And then, of course, the Ellen is going to be doing some renovations too. So we're excited to see those happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Just it seems like it just keeps getting better and better every year. There's things coming and going, but it seems like, over time it's always a net positive.
Agreed. Yeah.
So speaking of everything happening downtown, it's also a big aspect for tourism. A large part of the Bozeman economy is tourism. So how does the downtown partnership play into that role of supporting the economy and attracting tourists to our area?
Absolutely. I think tourism has always played a big role in the downtown economy. And I would say that the evolution of that is maybe seeing a little less seasonality than we've seen in past years, but it's still certainly very seasonal. We see our biggest tourist pushes certainly in the summer, and then of course in the bulk of winter, maybe really mostly around the holiday season. Tourism is, like I said, an important part of our economy. I think our businesses likely do a great job of knowing where their customers are coming from. I think that's even gotten better post COVID is really knowing where your customers are coming from. And so I know a lot of our downtown businesses keep in touch with their tourist customers throughout the year. And so I think it is a really important thing to know. It does impact, of course, that feeling in downtown, that congestion that we see in downtown. And, I think the summer of 2021, that kind of still in COVID, but we're seeing to see our community grow pretty significantly. Domestic travel was really strong. We saw a whirlwind, and I think that I saw maybe some nervousness in downtown from the tourism sector, and I saw it around the state. And I think it did also spark some of that tourism management that I was talking about, that trend towards maybe, let's manage this instead of just sell
Yeah.
concept. And so, that summer happened, and I think it opened to our eyes to what potentially tourism could look like. But I think we've taken a few steps back. We haven't seen quite that craze this last summer. But I think we've seen a pretty gradual growth. Other than that kind of spike there. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing for our businesses. We generally come off of a pretty long summer, winter, and spring. Let's face it. Let's look out our windows right now. Ooh, when is summer going to be this year?
Yeah.
And so I think that we are in a point where at that point we can use it. We can use the business. But we also do recognize the impacts that tourism has on our downtown. We really try to play that management role. Make it clean, make it safe, make sure that we lessen congestion, educate our visitors about where to park and how to park, and really just try to take a role in education and outreach so that when people arrive in downtown Bozeman, that it's not overwhelming. And we hope to continue that. So I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but yeah.
No, absolutely it did. And it's good to, know kind of what's happening as far as, that major wave that happened in 21 has let off a little bit. And, hopefully it's a kind of a mixed for businesses. I'm sure they like having the extra revenue, but staying crazy isn't always the best. So it's hard
Yeah.
to maintain that level. Also with tourism, I'm sure the new hotels that have popped up in the downtown area have really helped with that as well.
Oh yeah.
And where it was hard to stay downtown before, there's not very many options, and now you can stay right downtown and walk downtown from your hotel easily.
Yeah, that I mean, absolutely true. We saw a really big shift when a lot of those hotels went in, of just watching people kind of walk from the Mendenhall kind of district, and really it is quite exciting. I use Friday night of homecoming, MSU homecoming, as an example. It really is exciting to be downtown on a night like
Yeah.
that when you see kind of that tourists come in and so excited to be downtown, hang out downtown, and we do a pep rally on that night. And as we're wrapping up the pep rally, that tends to be kind of when everybody's heading downtown. And it's always, it's a reminder that tourism's a good thing. And we love when you
Yes,
come and visit us. So
absolutely. It is a huge part of our economy and really makes Bozeman thrive. So definitely need some of that tourism to keep happening.
yeah.
So just a reminder to everybody, we are giving away $100 in downtown dollars. So you can spend these at any store downtown, I believe. And they work like cash. So if you want to enter to win that, just leave a comment in the chat for leave hashtag downtown in your comment, and you will be automatically entered to win. We're going to leave that up. So if you're watching us live, go ahead and leave a comment. But if you're also watching the replay, go ahead and comment. We're going to leave this open for about a week and pick a winner on that. So do that. But Ellie, I just really appreciate you joining us today and sharing a little bit about what the Downtown Partnership does and what helps make our downtown such an awesome place to be in Montana. So before you go, we do have one event that's major that we didn't mention at all, and that's the Sweet Pea Festival. So I can't believe that didn't come up at all. So tell us real quick about the Sweet Pea Festival, and we'll let you get back to your busy job.
That is another event that we don't throw. The Sweet Pea Festival has actually been around much longer than even we have. So if that's, I guess a testament to our community and, our cultural past and what we strive for, Sweet Pea has been around for a long time. And they're separate organizations. So sweetpeafestival.org is their platform. We work very closely with them throughout the year. So they are members of ours. We are members of their organization. We work closely, but that is really their 3-day festival. They are a sponsor of our Music on Main on that Thursday night, and we have kind of adopted Music on Main on that Thursday of Sweet Pea into their event. And then from there, that's essentially the kickoff and the last time that you can buy the lower reduced non-gate tickets. And then Friday, the festival kicks off. On Saturday, they do the parade. And then Saturday and Sunday, of course, they have the festival at Lindley Park. So we're support staff for that event. And we do, of course, lots of marketing and support there.
Yes.
It is not our specific event. And neither is Slam Festival, for that matter. That goes on at Bogart Park during that same weekend. And that is really a separate organization. They do a few different events throughout the year. We're very, very collaborative with them on many different things, ice sculpture events and winter showcases, things like that. But they are separate organizations and they do an outstanding job. They have a long-term leadership and great people and volunteers involved.
Yeah, awesome. And it's neat how integrated everything is, that even though that's not your event, that you still are active participants in it. And, everybody supports everybody. So that's probably why you didn't bring it up, is because that's not directly your event.
What? It's assumed that collaborative nature, it's assumed. And, I'd say that Chris from Sweet Pea would probably be okay with this discussion and maybe Sweet Pea, the folks hear Sweet Pea Festival and they think they do some of our events, and that is okay. That collaborative spirit is really strong with all of us. And so we really like to make sure that we're not doing it on our own and that these events really are about coming together. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Ellie, for joining us today. If you want to get entered to win the downtown dollars, comment with a hashtag downtown and we'll draw a winner next week. And thanks again, Ellie. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody.